Hi friends, Tiziana here today, and today we're going to do 4 different ways of hemming on your sewing machine. Let's get started. All right, so I'm really excited about this little tips and trick video where I'm going to show you these 4 different ways of hemming. 2 are going to be on my knit fabric and 2 are going to be on some woven fabric. And these are so fun and done in your sewing machine, which is the best part. Okay, so my sewing machine came with these feet already. For my woven, I'm going to be using 2 different feet. For my knit, I'm going to be using the regular foot that's on my machine. I'm going to do a rolled edge hem, and here's my foot. I'm going to do a blind hem. Here's a foot for that. I'm going to do a triple stitch, which looks like a straight stitch. And I'm going to be doing a lettuce hem. I almost said rolled hem. I already said rolled hem. A lettuce edge hem. All completely different, all necessary at different times, all super easy. Let's do it. All right, we're gonna start with our knit fabric. Now for the lettuce hem, which is the first hem we're doing, we definitely need fabric that has good stretch. I'm using a rib knit from Boho Fabrics and it has really nice stretch. We're going to set our stitch on a zigzag stitch, which mine is set on, and we're going to lower our stitch length to a 0.7 or 8. It's up to you. So I've got it on 0.7 and I'm gonna widen my stitch to a 4. So it's a little bit wider than usual and a little bit shorter than usual. And that's all I'm changing. Now we're gonna come here to our sewing machine and we're gonna grab our fabric and we're gonna place it right at the foot. I'm placing it right at the edge of that foot place there. If you can see right there, I'm placing it right along that edge. And then what I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab my fabric here at the bottom and here at the top, and I'm gonna stretch the fabric out as I stitch. I want my fabric to be right at the edge, my needle to be right at the edge of the fabric as I'm stitching and I'm pulling. I am not pushing my fabric through. I'm not pulling my fabric through, I'm just stretching my fabric. So I'm allowing the sewing machine to do the pushing of the fabric. I'm just stretching my fabric, if that makes sense. So I'm not pulling, like making it go faster. Still gonna let it go as slow as it wants to go because I want that to be a really nice thick hem. All right, once I've gone all the way around, if you have a top and you're going around the hem or whatever, you will go right over at the end, right around the circle, or if it's a sleeve or whatever, and then you will cut that off. And here is that hem. How adorable is that? So pretty and so easy. All right, now we're going to do the triple stitch. I love using the triple stitch for straight stitching on my sewing machine. So here's the triple stitch. It has this 3 little lines and it's already got its settings on. I don't change any of the settings. I just set it right on that triple stitch and it gives me a really good stretch stitch that looks like a straight stitch. So let me show you what that looks like. All right, so now I'm gonna place my fabric right underneath my foot. And the one thing that you wanna make sure when you're sewing this stitch is that you're not going to come off the fabric on the back. You wanna stay on it. Again, you know, sometimes we get used to the line of the sewing machine, but this stitch usually goes, the needle goes to the edge of the foot. So you wanna make sure that it's gonna stay on the fabric in the back. So I usually give it a little extra fabric to the back. Another thing about this triple stitch is that it takes a little bit longer than a regular straight stitch because it's going back and forth to create that stitch. But that's okay. Once you've gone all the way around, we're just gonna lift that foot. And here you have that triple stitch. It looks like a straight stitch. And what I like about this is that you can stretch your fabric. You hear that? No popping. But when you do a straight stitch, there's a lot of popping. Now, if you have a little bit of waving when you do this stitch because it pulls on the fabric as it's stitching, you would just give it a little steam with your iron and it brings it right back over. Next, we're going to be working with our rolled hem, and this is my rolled hem foot. It's got the little curvy thing right there at the front of the foot. We're gonna go ahead and change that foot into that hem, and our stitch is gonna be a regular straight stitch, just the regular straight stitch you use on your sewing machine. What I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna leave a little tail, because to start this fabric, I'm gonna start it a little bit different. I'm gonna grab it backwards. I'm gonna place it onto my sewing machine, and I'm gonna place that edge of that fabric right there along that edge, and I'm gonna do a straight stitch of about a little bit under an inch. Then I'm gonna pull it off, and you're gonna be like, why did you do that? Well, I did that because this is the hardest part about a rolled hem, is starting your fabric, trying to get it in there. So to get your fabric, you have to get your fabric into that little area, just kind of fold it in. So I'm going to use these threads. I'm gonna place those threads into that little curve, and I'm gonna help pull my fabric in by using that thread. Now I'm gonna do that again, push it in and pull my fabric through. See, this is the hardest part, because you kind of want to hold it there as you bring your foot down, okay? And then you're also gonna hold it as you start stitching. Once you get that started, it's all fun from there. You wanna have this fabric roll to that edge right there. So we're gonna keep it straight to that edge. Not too much though, because then it starts bulking in. You obviously want to take your time. I'm kind of just going a little fast, so that's it. Let's look at that. Look at how good that looks. Obviously I went a little fast, but it rolled that hem for you and it gave you that little narrow hem that is so pretty when you're having nice little fabrics or something like that. And then you don't have to do the fold to hem. Last but not least, we're doing our blind hem, and this is the foot for the blind hem. It's got this little ledge here, and there's a little bit of prepping that you need to do with this foot. First of all, you need to make sure that you have a blind hem stitch, which is this one right here. Next, we need to finish the edge of your fabric. I'm finishing it off with my serger, but you can finish it off with a zigzag stitch or whatever you want. Now we're gonna give this fabric a memory fold. This is gonna be how wide your hem is gonna be. So however wide you want that hem, you're gonna press that right there. Let's change your foot, needle up, and let's get started. All right, we're gonna grab our fabric and we're going to actually open it up. And we're gonna come from the back. You see that crease right there? That crease right along there. We're gonna kind of fold on that crease. So we're kind of folding up on that crease and bringing the fabric over to the edge of where that serge edge is right there. We're gonna place that between. That crease is gonna go right in between where this little lever is. So if it's not right there, you don't wanna get it under, it's just gonna go right up against it. So that's the crease is gonna go right there. Once again, when you open this up, your memory fold is right there, okay? You're gonna poke that in, we're gonna flip it, and we're gonna place it right along that edge of where you finished your fabric. Now, here is where you have to make a decision. I'm going to show you, give you a little sneak peek of what a blind hem looks like. Do you see the little dots? Okay, so you would basically do this with a fabric that blends in with your fabric. Obviously, this is white and my fabric is blue, so it's not blending in 100%, but if I did a blue stitch, that would blend in really nicely. Then what you want to do is what it's set on, a 2, which is the length, is the width of the stitch, so how separate the stitch is from each one. That's this right here. Now, if I make it higher, like a 4, this is how wide it's gonna be. So it's gonna be like a random stitch that far apart. If I make it smaller, is gonna be closer to each other like that. All right, so now that our stitch is set at 4 length, we're gonna go ahead and get going. Make sure you keep that at the edge there. Now, when you're done, you're gonna lift up, pull it out. All right, and then we're gonna grab our fabric and flip it. And there it is. Now, I didn't do a really good job staying straight, but you can see the little stitches right there. And if I would have made them in a blue, that would have been perfect. Do you see how when it's over here by the white, you can barely see it? But I wanted you to see it. So that's the 4. So the wider you make, the longer you make that stitch, the farther apart they're going to be from each other. You just want it far enough apart that it still holds still, but you don't even see it very much. All right, friends, now comment below and let me know which one is your favorite, or if there's any other way of hemming that you really, really like. Remember, blind hem, rolled hem, I couldn't remember the name of it, triple stitch, or lettuce edge. Let me know. And then let me know if you didn't know of any of these, and if you're gonna try them out, let me know how you like them. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope you enjoyed this little tips and trick video. Subscribe if you haven't, comment, like, share, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.